Babes Reading Books Book Club.
I think we nailed that one.
Oh.
What's up, book nerds? The babes are back reading for the Babes Reading Books Book Club. I'm Roxanne.
I'm Vic. I'm Nadia.
And together, we're the babes.
Yeah.
The babes are back this month, and we've got a good book for you. It's Roxanne's pick, so you know it's a good one. I'm kidding. But this month's book was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I almost said A Good Girl's Guide to Book Club. But whatever. So I'm just gonna
read that.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm gonna read the synopsis just in case if you didn't watch our other videos, make sure to go check them out to catch the preview for next month's book also, and you can watch them all in order. Anyway, so this is a story of an investigation turned obsession. Pretty and popular high school senior Andy Bell was murdered by her boyfriend Sal Singh, who then killed himself. It was all anyone could talk about. And 5 years later, Pip sees how the tragedy still haunts her town. Now a senior herself, Pip decides to re-examine the closed case for her final project. At first, just to cast doubt on the original investigation. But soon, she discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sal innocent. ... And the line between past and present begins to blur. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, and now her own life might be in danger. Was there anything funny in this that I read?
We just got the tonation wrong in one sentence, but like other than that.
Oh yeah? And what sentence is that?
The ... because you made it seem like it ended, but there actually was a bit more, so the rest of the sentence was a bit awkward when you said it.
Yeah.
Well, you had to wait for it.
Also, was there 4 dots?
Also
or 3?
I thought there was.
Yeah, I looked over. I was seeing before the dot and I couldn't find it.
I think that's what made us think it was a period.
Yeah.
And then you kept going. I was
It's like
this is weird.
dot, like end.
Listen, I have a ... at the very top, 4 dots at the top, so I mistook those dots for the 3 dots. But anyways, so a correction, there's only 3 dots.
Thank you.
But yeah, so this is by Holly Jackson. I picked it because it came up in my recommended from last month's book. No, my last pick.
One of us is lying.
One of us is lying. Who's lying? Okay. Miss Josh, and if you want to go find out who's lying, go tune into episode 1 of the BRBBC. It's a good one. Okay, this was my pick. Fun story. I was reading this while I had COVID, so I decided to, since I had all the time in the world, I decided to take notes.
Nice.
We're gonna start with our ratings, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what, since it's my pick, let's go down this way.
Okay.
Opposite, from Nadia to me.
I'll hold the book while rating it. Okay, I really like this book. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was like, the way that it was written was really cool. Like, it wasn't just like chapters. Like there was also like different notes and like different like drawings like mixed in, which made it really easy and like engaging to read, which I really liked. And also the story, like, as usual, it got me. And yeah, I really like Pippa as a main character as well. I thought she was very likable and like a cute investigator. And yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I will rate this. I think I messed up my ratings from the beginning because I like kind of relate them all to each other, right? Because I think I rated one was only a 4.
Okay.
So I'd give this a 4.2. So I think it's probably one of my favorites we've read so far. I'd say tied with Death. But I also think I rated Death on the 4.2, which I probably would have rated that one 4 and then the other one. But whatever, it's too late.
Wait,
now.
so you like this better than Death on the
I think by like a point, opposite point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Not gonna lie, I guess we'll get into it, but at first I thought I wasn't gonna like it, just based on, because it reminded me, one of the books in One of Us is Lying, like that series, is kind of like the same vibe that, like a murder happened like years ago, and then present day someone tries to like whatever solve it that happened years, and like that one in One of Us is Lying I didn't like. So I was like, oh, I'm not gonna like this either. But it's pleasantly surprised me again. I like the non full-on chapters. I think it was like a little bit of chapter, and then it went into like her diary or her logs or whatever they're called, and like interviews and stuff. I thought that was interesting. I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I think I liked most of the characters. Actually, just only Pip. But I really liked her. She was really relatable. She said she liked homework like me. So I was like,
actually thinking now when I was reading it, like, she said something like, oh, I always have enough time for homework. Or you can never spend too much time on homework or something. And I was like, I know her.
Yeah. So I found her very relatable. Liked her character. Yeah, honestly, I think the main reason I really loved her character, I liked the story, it kept me interesting. Didn't half saw it coming, half didn't. I'm on the fence.
Oh, okay.
What I saw happening, but we'll also get into it. But yeah.
Okay.
So that's 4.2.
I'm shocked that you guys gave it 4.2 because I'd probably give it like a 3.
Oh.
I didn't really like it that much. I think I within the first chapter I discovered that I was like, oh, I'm not gonna like this because so I like the way it was written. I think it was still very well written and all that stuff. It's just the storyline was again just a touch too predictable for me. Like I kind of saw it coming from the get-go. Like obviously, I saw like one of my first picks because obviously someone murders someone. One of my first picks was the person who did it. And then the whole book, they were trying to like throw suspicion onto like other people, and I was like, I just don't see it. And I was like, maybe it could be this person, like maybe, but I was like, the only person that really makes sense is the person who did it the whole time. So there's that. Also, her name Pip irked me because I couldn't stop thinking about Peppa Pig the whole time. I was like picturing Peppa Pig solving this crime, so I couldn't get past that. What?
Sorry, and I just realized this character is literally me. My dad used to call me Pips. That was my nickname.
Aww.
Like I just had a deja vu. That's probably why I felt so connected.
That's
to her.
so
And they went
cute.
homework, and I was like, well, me. They have like two friends.
Oh my god. That's us.
Yeah.
No
Which
way.
hates going to parties.
Huh?
Hates going to parties. Wastes time. Would rather do homework than go to a party.
Honestly.
Nice.
It literally is.
Loves her dog.
I
Well,
mean,
she
okay.
loves your dog.
Yeah, like I also love your dogs. No, I'm just kidding.
So it's a little bit rude of you for getting Nadia. How does that?
Here.
But yeah, I don't know. Just for some reason, I was like reading it, and I was just like, I could call everything. Immediately, I was like, what's her face? Pip is gonna mac on Ravi. Shocker. She macked on Ravi. You know, just from the get-go, and I was like,
hard eyes.
Yeah, both the losers.
big time. But they did throw like outcasts. Like Victory, she knocked herself in the knee and touched. Nadia came and swung. Nadia got a home run on this.
I forgot about the comparison we just made.
It's like so much wrong.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call you an outcast.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do
loser
that.
though.
I'd cast you out, but I wouldn't.
I would make you an outcast. I wouldn't call you that.
yeah. But yeah, so that's why I gave it a. Okay, fine. Maybe I give it a 3.5 because I'm thinking about it. Like I like even though again it was like one big main murder. I like that there was like multiple side things and stuff going on, like murders, I guess, and then like the threats and stuff. But yeah, I guess overall, I think I just couldn't get over Pip and thinking about Peppa Pig. So, and then maybe I also had COVID brain, so maybe, I don't know, maybe I was just not like in the mood to enjoy things, but so yeah, that's mine. I'd say 3.5.
Okay.
Still pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like, I wasn't like snooze fest. Like, I did want to finish the book, which I have a feeling next month we're gonna dive a little lower than 3.5. Okay, so let's go into it. So, should we start with characters or?
Yeah, let's start with characters.
You have your notes written, right?
Yep.
To be fair, it's fresh in your mind.
Very fresh. Just finished it 20 minutes ago.
Okay, also guys, I think my prejudice against this book also came from the fact, so the very first note that I have is super unbelievable if the student is in high school. This project is too intense because the whole thing is that she's doing like a capstone project for her class, and like she's taking it so seriously, like the work the effort she was putting in. I was like, girl, this is too much. You're setting a bad example for kids in high school because no kid should be doing that much work in high school. University, college, whatever, sure, go ahead, knock yourself out. High school, absolutely not.
That seems like a university level. Like last year, like I had a capstone course in my last year, and like I would even say this is a bit more than mine. Like, to be honest.
This girl was interviewing people. I'm like, girl, I had to interview at one teacher, and that brought me to my knees. Literally, I remember one time I was sitting the day it was due, I had nothing written, and I just like had to go sit on my bed and have a good cry, and then I punched out a freaking essay. But still, I was like, girl, well, how is she doing this? And then she's doing it early.
And she didn't even cry once.
Okay, so I guess we get into...
Sorry, you know what my first note was? I don't know if anyone noticed this, but I didn't notice this when I started reading. And then I think I got to like chapter 3 or something. And then I just realized it was so intensely written in third person.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, like, and then I had to go back and like see, like, was it written in third person? I just missed it.
Yeah, you know what it is? Because like, when it's like, some of it's chapters and some of it's like Pip's notes. And her notes are obviously first person. And I was tripping. Like when it switches from notes to chapters, I'm like,
yeah, because it took me, I guess because the first 2 are kind of heavy, like her interviews and logs. But I think when I got to like 3 or 4, I was like, this is so intensely in third person. Like I never noticed that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I felt that.
I was like
it would be like Pip had thought or did this, and I was like, I'm like, who's writing this? Pip, are you talking about yourself in third person?
Yeah, that's one of the first things I like noticed right off the bat. And I was like, whoa. But
I
I mean, it didn't
notice.
bother me once I got over that, you know.
Yeah, so the story starts with Pip doing a high school project, and she chose like this thing. And first of all, like, what are you gaining from this?
Closure.
Like, okay, I'm talking about from a teacher's perspective to allow this, because she had to pick a topic, and she's like, I'm gonna pick this murder, and the teacher's like, yeah. Like, what?
It seems dangerous.
Yeah.
And I'm just it's like, what are you gonna learn? Like, you're not working with, like, if she was like, you know, working with like a detective, you know, under someone, like, I get it, or like an investigative journalist, whatever, but I'm like, you're just like winging it. She could just submit garbage. She could just like write an op-ed and just be like, yeah, have fun, you know? Like, how would the teacher know? It's also a crime, so it's like, I doubt the teacher has access to the notes to prove her wrong.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. If I was Pip, I just make up a big elaborate story, pin it on someone else. It'd be fun, you know?
Just
An enemy, maybe, you know, just a little beef with someone, you know, just quickly prove that it was that person, you know, it happens. But yeah, so she's picking a project, whatever, and so she starts by interviewing the brother of the guy. Oh, so let's begin with the crime. So the crime is Andy Bell was at home. She was seen driving, and the next thing you know, she's dead. Her boyfriend, oh my gosh, I killed her. I can't handle the guilt. I'm gonna kill myself. That's allegedly the story, right? So she starts by going to Sal's brother's place, well, Sal's place, ex-place, you know. She goes to Sal's brother, Ravi, and immediately I was like, guys, listen. The family would have moved. They're simply, so this murder happened 5 years ago, and apparently they're like outcasts in that town. I was like, you would move. To the extent that they were like being ridiculed and like, on top of that, racism, I was like, yo, like they would move. You live in a small town, you know, it's not like Toronto where you leave, you can't come back. It's like, small towns are the worst, oh my gosh. I think maybe that's why also, I was like, small town, ugh, awful. But anyway, so she's macking on him, obviously. In one of the details that I noticed, so then Pip goes and she finds like as many details as she can about the original crime. So it turns out Andy was like seen driving at 10:40 through like a ATM camera or something. So that, but like Sal's initial alibi. Al.
I was like, who's Al? Sorry.
You know, Sal's twin brother. No, so Sal was supposedly at his friend's place, I think until like 12:15, like midnight, something like that, like until late, so that like initially he wouldn't have been able to do it based on the timestamp.
That's what Sal said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then apparently what happened in the whole investigation or whatever was that his friends, I think it was after he killed himself. Or was it before? No, it was before.
The day before.
The day before, they came back and said like, oh no, he actually left at our place. He left our place at like 10 or something.
And he told us to lie.
Oh yeah, and he told them to lie for him. So now it's kind of like, oh, like, and usually the boyfriend did it is like the thing, fair, usually. But so then now they're all suspecting Sal, and like they're saying he had opportunity because that, and like why did he ask him to lie, all this stuff. But so actually one of the notes I said is they said her car was seen driving around 10:40, but they didn't specify if she was seen driving it. And I was like,
Oh, my
change.
name's too good.
But
Yeah,
then,
honestly.
It's too good.
but then my next note was they don't even have a body, exclamation mark, snooze fest. She's
She says, we want the body.
I need the proof.
like, that's what I said. Like I literally said snooze fest. But yeah, so they turns out they also don't have a body. So they have Sal dead, Andy supposedly dead, but no body yet. Okay. I can't remember what else. So
She
then
just starts
they
finding
just-
like all like the friends. 'Cause
Yeah.
There's 4 friends at the house. It was Naomi, which is her best friend, Kara,
Sorry,
sister.
what did you say?
Naomi.
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Naomi.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh.
It's awkward for you.
Oh.
Sal's group of friends, it is a girl named Naomi, which is Pip's current best friend, Kara, sister. So like Pip's known Naomi her whole life, kind of like an older sister to her.
Yeah.
There's Max
Yeah.
Hastings, just another little sus guy.
Garbage.
It turns out being very garbage. Who's the other one?
The other two, they don't
they're
really.
like-
Kind of
Yeah.
irrelevant.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to mention.
So she also talks to 2 of Andy's friends, and Andy's 2 best friends, and like both of the friends kind of end up saying that like Andy wasn't exactly the greatest person, like all this stuff. That's good. I ate all the good flavors. But they were kind of pretty much admitting that like Andy was not a great person. Like she's like even though she died and stuff, they're kind of like they're making her out to seem like the sweet innocent girl, but they were kind of like she was so into like drama and stuff, and like creating so much drama that they're kind of not surprised that it kind of ended like that. That's how she ended up. And specifically, they end up saying that one of the teachers, which happens to be Kara's dad.
And Naomi.
Oh yeah, and Naomi. So she said that like Andy one day was like complaining to them about him, saying that like just awful things about him. So then what's her face? Pip was like, that's weird, like kind of like why are you complaining? Because the dad said he never had hit her as a student. So she was kind of like, why would she complain about him if if he was never in a class, you know, if it was like an assignment, you know, something like that. But then so she talks to the dad, and turns out that it was that so Andy ended up releasing a bad video about Nat or something,
Yeah.
or her, like, so I think they catfished Nat into having her send pictures of herself, and then she released it all throughout the school. And then so the dad / teacher threatened to expose Andy because they have like a no tolerance policy, so she would have been expelled or whatever. So then he just like confronted her or something, told her to like take them down, and that's why she was bad mouthing him. So she's just like investigating whatever. They're still living their lives, and her and her friends end up going to the no
The woods.
the woods.
Oh, the
first.
woods.
Yeah, you're just so sad this party. Like
She wants to go.
yeah, literally. So they ended up going to the woods, and lo and behold, there's someone sneaky in the bushes watching them. They hear rustling in the forest, and then they go run to figure out who it was. But unfortunately, they don't catch him. But when Pip gets back to her bed, there's a note in her bed, like telling her to like stop or back off or something. They were like, "You don't know what you're doing." It's pretty much a threat. Okay, so she's officially stepping on some toes. Okay, and someone had to find her in those woods. Lo and behold. And then she finds out about the drugs, and she wants to find out where these drugs came from.
This girl's crazy.
So then she goes to this party. Yeah, I was like,
She should have stopped like a long time.
literally amateur hour. I was like, what are you? And like, especially if you're gonna like try to do all these like harsh things, you should have everyone, like all of your close friends,
Yeah.
knowing where you are. Especially since you're doing dangerous things. Like they're like, oh, they'll have you stop. But it's like at least they would be like, okay, fine, but like we're helping you. You know, like
Yeah.
That's where me and her differ.
exactly. You
The
tell us
only
immediately.
place.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I feel like there was something else. There was
Because there's like the whole party thing. Because then she goes to the party, and then she figures out Howie is the one dealing.
Yeah.
And then she goes and stalks him.
oh
Like
yeah.
watches him, like literally follows a guy in the middle of the night to
Yeah.
see who she's dealing with. And then she sees him and Max, I think, dealing. And then she figures out that then she goes to Max's house to like interrogate him.
Yeah.
she's like, okay, clearly this guy's more involved because Max, his whole thing was he wasn't involved.
Yeah, and actually this is what I wanted to talk about beforehand. So the only two friends of Sal's she interviewed was Max and Naomi, and like she said that they both kind of said like, yeah, like he wasn't there, like, but they were like being kind of sus about it. And she was just like, hey, like they're being a little bit weird, like why would you lie for him, or like why would he even ask you to lie, like stuff like that kind of thing. Like did you see, like could you see him being someone who does it? But then Naomi, so actually I think she left town to go to like college or something, and then she came back recently, and same with Max. But yeah, so then she finds out, so then just flash forwards that Max is dealing, or sorry, not dealing.
Buying, I guess.
But both, like, is he both? I think he ended up.
I don't think he was dealing.
Yeah.
He was just buying like.
Yeah.
And he was buying roofies.
Yeah, that's
the big thing.
And she sees that Max is like buying from Howie. Or I think she goes to Howie's house first, whatever. And then Howie's alibi is that he was passed out from drugs and drinking.
On the couch.
On the couch.
It's not really an alibi.
Yeah, and she also discovers that the house that Howie lived, the street that Howie lives on, is the same street where they found her car.
Yeah.
Yes, and also, I forget how. Oh, I think Andy's two best friends confirmed that she was potentially seeing an older guy. And like a bunch of these people fit that criteria. So Howie is an older guy, and Max is also an older guy, and
the teacher.
And the teacher is also an older guy.
Mr. Ward.
Mr. Ward.
Very sad.
Oh,
And Daniel De Silva, the janitor, is also older.
Yeah.
Yeah. They also, so her and Ravi are like teaming up and like kind of doing things while she is leaving Ravi out in the dark of her getting threatened and stuff. But they both go. I forget why they knew about that motel place or the inn. Oh, because it matched the number in the journal. Oh my god, right? Everything so chronologically out of order. But they basically went and snuck in, or she runs into Becca, Andy's sister at the cafe, and then she goes up to her to go interrogate her about the murder. She was like, okay, probably not what you should do, but in that Becca basically, what was it Becca that said that she has a burner phone, or she kept things under a piece of wood in her wardrobe.
I don't remember.
I don't know where she got the information from, but they were like, oh, the burner phone that she sold drugs might be in there. So then her and Ravi go and break into the house.
Yeah.
I'm like, insane. Yeah, I'm like, Kate, you're solving a murder crime thing. You know that clearly you're into law and stuff. You know that's very much illegal and you can get arrested.
You're committing a crime.
Regardless of whether you find this burner phone that's gonna prove that Sal didn't do it. Like, okay, let's prove that Sal didn't do it and throw your life away. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they break into the house. Can't find anything anywhere, but they go and steal her journal. Which, again, whatever. Anyways, so in the journal, they find a bunch of like codes and stuff, numbers. So one of the codes they figure out, they like narrow down to the name of one of these like inns, I don't know, bed and breakfast or motel, whatever. So they go and visit that. They're like, do you remember this girl? So the owner was like, yeah, she was here with like this older guy. So then it's confirmed like that's where they went with the older guy.
Yeah.
And then she goes and interrogates Max. She goes to his door because she's like, okay, this guy's clearly lying. He knows Howie, blah, blah, blah. He's more involved than he seems. So she goes and interrogates him again. Max is like, I don't know anything, blah, blah, blah. Then she's like, she sees a picture behind a picture, and then it ends up being a picture of Andy.
Yeah.
With the same backdrop in the hotel.
An inappropriate photo of Andy.
Then
That Max has.
Yeah. Again, apparently, he's claiming that he found it.
Yeah.
Which is still not her consent.
Yeah.
It's literally, if you found it, non-consensual.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have it.
That's not yours.
And then it also brings us a second suspicion, like, oh, was she, or did she mean to give him that photo?
Yeah.
Right? So there's two sides, and he's claiming that he found it, which is much more incriminating than saying she gave it to you. And then Pip is kind of like, or did she give it to him?
Yeah. And then I feel like next she goes to Naomi because she's like, okay, clearly this guy's lying. Oh no, then she figures out that Max has a secret Facebook account named Nancy. Right? And she's like, I need to get into this Nancy account. So she tricks, or
Nancy
she tells
Tango Tits. That's the account, sorry. Just remember the last one.
I don't think I ever took it in one.
Yeah.
That's the first time I'm hearing this. You could have just made that up right now.
I didn't. I wish I did.
I would have been like, that's it. So she enlists Kara's help to log in with Naomi's password, blah, blah, blah. And then on this account, she's searching. She's also rookie mistake. These idiots are gonna lie about Sal's time of day and be posted pictures from the night.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Like, that's so
Well,
weird.
apparently they got blackmailed to post those pictures. Apparently. Okay, I guess
Oh,
we'll get to that.
right. No,
But-
you're right. That
Yeah.
doesn't, no, yeah. So,
Oh, I forgot about that. Never mind.
yeah.
But yeah, still dumb.
Yeah. And so then she's snooping through and she sees one of the pics. And she sees that all 4 friends are in it. And she's like, well, someone had to take that picture. Who took that picture? Sal took that picture. And then little Miss Naomi has her phone on and the timestamp does not match the timeline that they said. So
Pow!
he couldn't have done it. Oh, then they go on a little mission to like remark the whole
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they try to recreate the
in
murder.
the time frame, and then they're like impossible.
Yeah.
And then Ravi's like, oh my god, my dream girl, Pip. Just discovered that.
My brother's innocent. I
Yeah.
love you.
Yeah.
One of Becca's friends, somehow Pip got a hold of her, and she found out that like one time they went to a party or something, and then like Becca like just like freaked out or something, or was like distraught and like never told her why she was like so upset. So then she was like, oh, she just assumed that like she got in a fight with Andy or something.
No, it's because the next day they went to get the morning after pill, but she never said anything.
Right.
Oh, but she was roofied. So
Yeah.
She didn't even know who had
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
who
That should be like
raped
still
her.
say that like that's because she never told her friend that is what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it turns out, and guess who was the roofier? Our least favorite, Max.
Max.
Yeah, so he goes to jail,
Mhm.
thankfully, in the end for that. And
Yeah, but I think that like, I don't know, because she figured out like it wasn't him, he's just like a bad person.
yeah,
Like he
yeah.
didn't kill.
The car crash.
Oh, right!
Oh yeah,
That was, so the reason, wait, why did they even lie about that?
because they got blackmailed.
Because and Max was drunk driving. That's
Yeah.
why he hit someone, and he didn't want to be incriminated by that. So he made everyone cover it up.
Yeah,
How did they get,
Because the person they hit didn't die.
but for some reason, but how Max got his friends not to rat was, first of all, they were in the car, so they became technically accomplices because he ran. And then also, I think it was because they were also underage drinking, so they would have been, but I was like, that's not, take the L on the underage drinking.
Oh, it was because they all agreed to leave the man they hit.
Yeah.
They like agreed to leave him and go.
And
So
that,
they were,
I was like,
all in it
yeah, I was like, you
together.
guys are all equally bad people then, you know? I'm like,
but how does that relate to them lying about Sal?
because someone knew about this, so someone knew about this car accident, and they blackmailed them,
To lie
the
about
4
Sal.
friends, to lie and say Sal
time
wasn't
stamp.
there.
Yeah.
Got it. I couldn't
Which
remember
took
that.
away Sal's alibi.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So now Pip is putting together that someone had to know about the car accident. Someone also had to go and blackmail these people.
So they had to have their phone numbers.
Yeah. And so she was kind of like, so like they have to know all these things. Like it's a lot to know all at once.
Side note, so before we reveal the big reveal,
Oh yeah.
that's just about to happen. Stay tuned.
Leading up for it.
Make sure to subscribe and like this video. No, I'm not gonna say it, but they also Pip's threats continue,
Oh yeah.
and then someone also breaks into her house, leaves her another threat, like,
And then
and then they kill her dog.
Well, okay, hold on.
Sorry.
First they steal the dog.
Yeah.
So for like, not to be rude though, like leave the dog out.
Honestly,
I know, what did the dog do?
Take Pip.
Seriously.
Like what? Take Pip. Take her brother. You know, take the parents. I don't know, the dog. That's the least thing you should take.
So sad.
so unnecessary. I was so
But
upset.
also, what if she had a chip? You really screwed yourself. The dog could have had a chip. And
Does Delilah have a chip?
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm pretty sure. Yeah, she came from a vet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, what if she had it? Like these people, whoever stole the dog, took a big chance that there was no chip because then you just revealed yourself. So nothing upstairs clearly. But yeah, so they steal the dog. I was like, that's the lowest of the low. Just kill Pip at that point. Like what?
Yeah.
Anyways, so they
Horrible.
steal the dog, and then Pip gets a threat saying like, if you want your dog to live, delete all your evidence and all that stuff. And like come to this one, well first they say bring all your evidence and then come to this one place, and then they're like destroy your computer and then you get your dog back, whatever. But then, dun dun dun, they find the dog dead. So Pip like loses her marbles and she's like, I'm done with this. And then Ravi's like, girl, look at me. Why are you so sad? And then she's like, she's like, you don't even know me. I shouldn't have started this. Yo, side note though, at one point, for some reason on page 307, I have written Ravi demolishes Pip. She says they murdered my dog, and then she's like, they murdered my, and then he says they murdered my brother. And I was like, yo, like just brutal. Like literally just took her out at the knees. Oh, and then when they went to the inn, so they went to the inn and they discovered that the picture that Andy took of herself was in that inn or whatever, and they went and then they said that like, oh, the girl was there recently, like the Andy girl. So they were like, what? But then they were like, she's crazy. So
that's pretty much.
I forgot what she said to Ravi to make him hate her.
Yeah, but whatever. So then like she made him leave or whatever and like give up. But then I think by then like he comes back and like convinces her to redo it because it's kind of like you can't let them win, like whatever, blah, blah, blah. So then they're back on the hunt. And then he's like, but didn't you delete everything? And she's like, I would never delete it. I have like 3 things uploaded.
Email copies, baby.
Like,
always keep receipts.
What else? Dun, dun, dun.
That's pretty much it. And then she finds, I don't, like the jump from how she figured it out. I didn't really understand how she figured it out.
Oh, I know. It's because, so what happened was Naomi, she like broke her phone or something. But then they found a new phone, like an old new phone for her. And then so Naomi ends up calling Pip, which I literally have written. I was like, why would Naomi call Pip? Like,
yeah, that was weird.
That, like, they just had like a conversation, and then so Pip looks at the phone and she sees the phone number. That was one of the phone numbers in Andy's like diary or whatever, like secret journal.
Oh, and the tutoring. Kara's dad, Mr. Ward, tutors all the time.
Yeah.
And then she was like, something's a little sus with the
That was
tutoring.
after. That was when she got the phone number. So she realized that Naomi's phone number that she just called her off of came from, was on Andy's thing, and she was like, Naomi, but then she was like, wait, the dad. And then she went to check the printer. So she set up this thing where like, to check who was like printing stuff on her computer because she suspected Naomi of doing it first. So it was like, which also this, I was like, who just knows that you can check what was printed? Also, it's a little bit scary.
I didn't know you could.
But then so she checked that house, like their household, ended up printing one of the threats to Pip. And then she put 2 and 2 together that she was like, the food's always missing, and then she's like, his tutoring schedule is weird because they're loaded. So she was like, why is he tutoring? And it was like 3 nights a week, which is like insane for like a full-time teacher. I was like, how do you have time for that? And you have kids? Like, that's ridiculous. And then she ended up dropping her phone because she was suspicious of the dad. She tracked the car, and the car ended up going to this one place which used to be their old home, like of Naomi, Kara, and the dad. And then lo and behold, she goes to follow him.
She walks into the door.
Literally walks into the door, and then he's just like, yeah, I did it. What a moron!
He killed Sal.
Yeah. He literally. So it turns out that but he claims that he hit Andy because they were having an affair, and then she was threatening to out him and out them, whatever. So he hits her in the head, and then he freaks out, but he comes back and she's gone. So he's like, I don't know what happened. So then he had to kind of have an alibi, all this stuff, and then so turns out he knew about the car accident because he read Naomi's diary. So he also blackmailed his own daughter. I was like, girl, what are you doing?
That's nuts.
So then he ends up like convincing Sal. Oh, and because I knew it was him from the beginning because the day that Sal killed himself, he was gone. He was away from school, and I was like, oh. So he ended up like drugging Sal, or convincing him to like take them or something. Like it was like they really poorly explained it because I think they convinced him to take some, but then like I think Sal like after a while he was like, I don't want to take more. So then he like forced them into him and then killed him, whatever, and then put like blood under his fingernails, I guess, put the phone on her. Yeah, so he literally killed Sal. And then turns out that he's been keeping Andy in his roof all along, in his roof.
Attic?
In the attic the entire time because he saw her one time and he thought that she was like living on the streets or whatever, so he thought that like she ran away because of him or whatever, and then he felt really bad. So he felt really bad, so he proceeded to lock her in his attic and feed her 3 days a week. Like, what if, like, are you okay? So whatever, she's walking up the stairs, you know, to go find Andy. She opens it and she's like, that's not Andy, baby.
That got me.
Yeah.
I did not see that one coming.
I was like, what? I was like, but also I was like, bro,
This guy's delusional.
yeah, I was like, this guy's gone.
Yeah.
I was, and then, oh, side note though, like, she was, what's it called? Pip was like, felt bad because like it's her best friend's dad, which, oh, and then their mom died earlier, so now she's essentially an orphan because her dad's off to jail. Yeah, the slammer. Rightfully so. This man, first of all, slept with a student, then hit her over the head, and then proceeded to kidnap her.
And then killed the other guy.
Oh right, yeah. I keep forgetting that he killed Sal because clearly, no, but the whole thing, they grazed over Sal's murder. Like they were so focused on Andy that like genuinely in the book they were like, yeah, and then I killed Sal, you know, I had to cover my tracks, and then they're like, but Andy, you know, so that's why I feel forgot about that. But yeah, so he just said these horrible, unspeakable things, and she's like, oh, like Kara's gonna hate me. You're the least of her worries. Her dad killed someone.
Kidnapped someone else.
And was actively
the student.
like, and actively was keeping someone in like hostage for years. Like, I was like, Pip, baby, sweetie. Don't get me wrong, it sucks that you have to put this guy in the slammer, but like, good riddance. I was like, if I was freaking Kara, I'd be like, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, that was just like, I was like, get rid of this man. And then yeah, he just goes off in handcuffs.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, where the heck's Andy?
Yeah.
And then Pip, I think that's when something hits her in the head, right?
Oh wait, yeah. Then okay, she's driving back home from that house where fake Andy was locked, and she sees Andy's real family driving towards the house. And she looks at them, and like the mom and dad look really disheveled, and the sister's in the back just like looking like a bit disheveled but more confused.
Yeah.
And then she goes home, and then she
puts it all together. So then she goes over to see Becca one last time, you know. Becca's just such a good host, pouring her some drinks, you know, because that's what you want to do when you put everything together. And then she goes to her and says like, oh, so you were like sexually assaulted by Max, right? And she was like, yeah, like blah, blah, blah. And then she goes to like proceed to like explain what happened. She was like, oh, it's so sad. Like Pip is saying like, oh yeah, it was Mr. Ward, like the dad that killed Sal, whatever, and like all that. She's pretty much saying everything. And then she's like, it sucks it wasn't Andy in the attic, right? Because they're like, what's going on?
But you already knew that.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like,
and then she goes, but you already knew that, right? And then Pip, the idiot, like the stupidest person on this planet.
Hey.
Sorry. She's the stupidest person on this planet. Drinks from a drink.
Yeah. Okay. Honestly,
given to her.
She knew when she was drinking from. She knew that girl killed her sister, and she still drank the tea she made.
Like, and I was like, girl, you're asking to be murdered. It's like, I was like, idiot. But anyways, so then yeah, she starts like going loopy because she was roofied, and then Becca's like, oh, I'm so sorry because now I'm gonna have to kill you too. And then Pip's like, what?
She also
and I'm
says like how she killed Andy though.
Oh
yeah. Like, she came home, or Andy came home. She didn't know that she was concussed from getting hit by or thrown on the floor by Mr. Ward. And then she tries to tell her sister about her getting sexually assaulted, and her sister doesn't care and like does not even listen to her. And then she just starts getting really mad, and then she pushes her, and then I think she starts choking.
Yeah, but I think Andy said something like mean.
Yeah,
like I think she kind of said something like
she doesn't care.
I think it was something worse, like almost like on the lines of like you kind of deserved it or something. That's what I thought.
Oh yeah, she said that she was like the fatter, uglier version of Andy.
Yeah. Something. So like she was like either that like she couldn't believe it because like she was uglier, so, like something along those lines.
Or she was like, you're the fatter, uglier version of me, so you should be grateful. Like anyone likes you.
That's what I'm saying. Like anyone would do that. So I was like,
And then she pushes her, and then Andy starts choking because she's like, this girl's concussed. She walked home concussed, bleeding from the head, and then Becca just watches her die. She doesn't do anything.
Oh yeah, because Andy like throws up.
Yeah.
And she's like on her back, and she chokes on it.
Yeah, and she didn't know what happened to her before, like the hit on the head, so she was like, they're gonna think it's me. So I think in the moment she was just panicking.
And then she set up the car outside of the Howie's house, because then she'll be like, oh, the drug dealer.
Yeah.
She's the one who also threatened Pip and killed her dog, so different from Mr. Ward.
Yeah. And then she claims that like, killing the dog was an accident, like whatever, and I was like, oh, you're right, that's cool, man. Like, don't worry, we're fine then. Yeah, I think it was an accident.
It was so funny because she was like about to kill Pip, and then she was like, yeah, sorry about the dog. She's like, I didn't mean for him to die.
Literally, like, she like rubied this girl and is about to murder her, and then she's like, yeah, about the dog.
Sorry.
Damn, that was an accident.
The dog.
That I didn't mean. Killing you, we're gonna do this one. And it was just like, and I was like, why would she drink like that? I was like, girl, come on. But yeah, so then obviously,
and then there's Prince in shining armor.
Yeah, comes and saves her, and they ride off into the sunset, as per usual.
In jail.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, but yeah. Okay, so side note also, so then she was kind of like, so where's Andy's body? And turns out that it's by this farmhouse that like people wanted converted into something or whatever. And like in the story they mentioned that she was against it, and I knew it immediately. I was like, there's something off. And then she put her in the septic tank, which is the
worst.
I must say, if I am murdered and put in a septic tank, that is the worst. That is the worst. Do you know what a septic tank is?
Yeah.
Poop.
I thought it was water.
But yeah, and I was like, first of all, good thing I'm dead, because if I was alive and in a septic tank, I'd never recover. I would, like, if someone came to save me, I'd be like, this is it for me.
Just actually good.
just keep me here. Like, I'm done.
Yikes.
Yeah, that was it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then she makes a presentation.
Yeah.
And she reads her capstone project to everyone, and it's like a big wow.
But then she lets Robbie tell his fucking story.
Yeah. She lets Robbie talk about his brother Sal, which actually is pretty cute. I don't know why I said it like that.
Yeah.
That's it. It's kind of a whirlwind of a book. Huh?
Yeah.
Did we all see it coming?
Yeah.
Did you see anything?
Yeah.
I mean, when she at first interviewed Mr. Ward, I was like, oh, that's so suspicious. But then she, like, for some reason, she disqualified him from her suspect list. I forget why.
It was because
she erased him.
She figured out that that the only reason she was talking bad about him was because of that. And I was like, and then media, I was like, it is him. And then everywhere, I'm like, I was like, Naomi's covering for him. That was before we found out that she was guilty of like hitting that man. And then I was just like, I would not believe it if it's not the dad. Like, I was like not fully trusting Mr. Ward's story, like just the entire time. I'm like, Mr. Ward, and then I say, I was like, something to do with the old farmhouse, that's why Becca's writing against it. What else?
Wow.
Just literally, like, I called, even from and so from the moment that she said the car was seen driving around at 10:40, but it didn't specify when she was seen driving it, because that was Becca driving it to the drug dealer's place, Howie, and leaving it there. So immediately I called it.
Yeah.
Where I was like, she's not driving in the car. Something's off.
Yeah, I initially, because I don't remember specifically, but they were going off on Mr. Ward. Like, so much so that I was like, oh, it's him. But then I'm like, that's so obvious. Yeah. I'm like, that's what got me again, because I'm like, it's so obviously him. So then I'm like, maybe they're just making us think that, and I knew it had to be someone from the family. I didn't know if it was Cara, I didn't know if it was Naomi, I didn't know if it was the dad, it was like a combo. But like, I knew it was a dad, but I was like, it's just, they made it so obvious right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's him. And I was like, well, but I didn't see the second half coming.
Same.
Like, I didn't see Andy being alive, I didn't see Becca being involved at all.
Yeah, I thought it was.
You see Andy being alive?
No. Actually, I did. I, like,
the fake Andy.
Oh, I actually multiple times said watch her be alive.
I did say that once.
But then it wasn't
I thought
even her.
she was gonna be, because the woman at the inn said she saw her a few weeks ago.
And then that was weird, because they were like, oh, it was Becca. And I'm like, okay. Like, why would Becca go there? You know?
She did, right? Why did she go there?
I don't know if they addressed it. Like, I think it was just like trying to make her seem like she was alive. And I was like, well, yeah, that would have been a much better plot twist. I added some plot twist. I was like, good plot twist. Ravi was the murderer, but he's really Sal. Because they always mention how they were look-alike.
Yeah.
Your
So it's like
brain's
Ravi.
too big.
Exactly. They can't, and then I was like, OMG. And that's so those were so good plot twist. Next one is OMG, excellent plot twist. The friends killed Andy for payback, and Sal couldn't handle the guilt when they confessed to him. Not that great. I don't know why I thought that was so good. But yeah, literally, I'm like not fully trusting Mr. Ward's story. And then I said, wait, there was something that I said. Andy was having an affair with Naomi's dad. That's why Naomi didn't like her, and what Sal wanted Andy to stop. Neither one of those was true. But the point about Naomi's dad sleeping with Andy was. And I got that before they revealed it. I was trying to write out like exactly what was going through my head when I was like reading this. So I was like, damn it. Most likely wasn't Mr. Ward since Nat left the note in the locker, but I don't know. I still think him and Andy could have been having an affair. See, I couldn't believe it. I was like, they want to throw suspicions on him. I was on his tail. I see you, Mr. Ward. I got you.
You might get by me and Nadia, but not
Pip was going left, right, started dodging through hoops, trying to find who did it. I saw you, and I caught you, and you're done. So it's like my theories and all this stuff, and then I was like, I hate how Ravi calls Pip Sergeant. Just like these are my thoughts while reading. Like that was one thing that I was like, oh, and then when they were like they had like a saying, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about it's sausage to me. I was like, I don't know if I've decided.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. What does it mean again? It's like not. It's like whatever.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like what? Who cares?
You didn't also notice that like near the end of the book, I think Robbie's like British.
Is he?
I knew like they started saying like they threw in some like weird like British tonation there, and I was like,
I didn't notice that.
like
No wonder Pip fell for him. This girl loves him British.
I think that's true.
I know. I really wanted to say that. Like I just so badly wanted to say
This
that.
girl
phrase.
loves them British.
I mean, nothing wrong with British
can't.
people for the most part.
And then I was like, he's helping keep Andy hidden, Mr. Ward. It wasn't Andy, but he thought. But yeah, so
He thought it was. What? How?
yeah.
You were literally sleeping together.
Yeah.
You don't know what she looks like.
Is it delusional?
And then I said Becca knows Andy is in the farmhouse. Literally.
Oh, look at that.
It's too good for these books.
Why don't you just write the book
Yeah.
next time?
Can I do that for the next one? I'm gonna turn the historical
For
fiction into
you're
something
near
good.
the end of the year, so you have all year to go write.
Hold on.
What?
That's a thing.
What? You're giving that a month for this?
I know. Like I'm gonna.
And you're gonna Nadia, look at this.
I know, Victor. You know I'm gonna write that in the last 3 days. Like.
Nadia, you might have to actually start
Actually,
reading today.
since Victory told us about this.
And it's smaller font.
Oh, that's huge. What are you
Wait,
talking
wait,
about?
wait. That's huge.
Give me the page number. How many pages? Okay, Victory told us about this a long time ago, so I
You have to
put
read the
a
epilogue?
hold on Libby for the audiobook, and it comes in 2 weeks, so I'm gonna audiobook it probably.
Good.
Oh, authors.
The writing's huge. What are you talking about? Small writing.
Okay,
It's the
this
same.
book, sorry, this thin-looking book was 387 pages.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
But the way the notes were, it was taking up so much
It's
space.
actually read really
430.
fast. Yeah,
There's just so much more room for
it's
writing.
so thick. I was looking at it like when we first started filming. I was like, oh no. Like,
I just saw it for the first time. Like, I just took it in. It was in my subconscious. So just closing thoughts on the last book. That just caught me off guard. I was not mentally prepared for that.
oh, I thought we were transitioning.
Yeah.
Soon. But yeah, so Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I did like it. I did enjoy it. I just didn't like how it was the classic, you know who it is.
It's too beginner for you.
And then, yeah, honestly.
That's the thing, like the last one we read, Verity, and this one, like trust your gut. I feel like that's what I'm learning here. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't question it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the person
Crazy.
you think it is.
Exactly. Because they set it up. They just set it up too easy. The minute they scratched him off the list, I was like, that's him. Same with what was the Death on the Nile.
Mm-hmm.
The minute they scratched Jacqueline and Simon's
Oh,
names
yeah.
off the list, I
That
knew
one
it was
too.
them.
Like
Yeah.
it's the most obvious answer. It always
Exactly.
is.
They always do it for production value. Shock me. I don't want to see it coming. That's why I like Verity, because I didn't see it coming. Well, I did see it coming. But I didn't see it coming because I didn't know what we were going to get. You know, they outlined what it started with. But listen, it's okay. It was honestly still a good read. I recommend reading it.
It was a good read.
Like, even though I did
It's really
give it a 3.5, I still recommend it. Like
Yeah.
I'd tell people, I'd lend it out, and I wouldn't be like, I'd lend it out, be like, you'll probably like it.
Yeah, there hasn't been a book yet where I've like struggled to read. You know, I've wanted to read everything.
Yet. Glad we have next month's book.
Great segue.
What is it?
Okay, wait, do you want to wrap? Yeah.
Just give
That was just more of a joke on her book.
Oh, I don't know. Not really. Like, I figured we talked about it. Did you hear about it?
Well, what did I just say?
You just said.
What did you just say? Did you say something?
I don't know.
Let's roll it back. You said something about just like that it was a
I was
good
saying,
read.
yeah, I was just saying it was a good read. Like I wanted to read through the whole thing. I think I liked it the most, to be honest. Don't really know why, but
Yeah,
good.
Well,
I think the
people
character,
identified with the character.
I really like. I'm all about the
Which makes sense. She was very like she stood for what was right.
Yeah.
You know, so that's I see it in
She's
you.
good.
And I respect that. I respect that in her. I just didn't like the name.
Yeah, I just liked it. I don't really have much else to say. Like, it was a really fun read.
Yeah.
So.
Big recommendations, people, if you want to borrow one.
Oh, sorry. You know what I don't like? That this is a series.
Oh.
What? Sick of it. I don't want to read series. I just want standalone books.
Ooh, good girl, bad
I
blood.
put a thing on Libby, but anyways, guys. So next month's book, you already got a sneak peek. Apparently, it's still big.
And for what it is,
This is nothing.
just wait until you guys hear the synopsis.
The one you
I actually
gave me
didn't read
was
it.
like 600 pages.
Oh, yeah,
The Nightingale?
Yeah, but I didn't give you that for the...
I wish I saved it for this.
Yeah,
That's
I have a copy of it, too.
It's my
I'm gonna
favorite
read it.
historical fiction I've
Oh
ever
my
read.
god.
That's right, it's so good.
Historical fiction.
So surprise, guys, we're finally switching up. Every single book we've read has been some kind of version of mystery and like thriller-esque vibes. So I was like, time to switch it up and read my other favorite genre, historical fiction.
Hold up, pause it.
So I picked The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. If you're a historical fiction fan like me, you know this name. This is a good name in the historical fiction genre. She also wrote The Alice Network, which was my second favorite historical fiction, so I wish I saved that for you as well.
Oh, sorry. You know how I almost... Okay, so I bought Victory, that book that she was just talking about. I almost bought you the Alice Network, but then I asked you if you had it, and you already had it.
Those two are my
I didn't know that was the same
good.
author.
So I knew she wrote one of my favorites ever. So I was like, I'll need to go search up her other stuff. I bought 2 of her other stuff. I read another one recently. And so yeah, I picked this one. Similar author. I read a couple of her stuff before.
Similar author.
It's like almost the same.
Yeah, same author. But yeah, guys. So I'm switching it up on you guys. Historical fiction. Have you guys ever read historical fiction before? Definitely
Probably not.
Yeah.
Well, I've read history books. Is that
No, it's so, guys, I don't know why. This is my guilty pleasure genre. It is so freaking good. It's always about a female heroine. I don't know why I enjoy it. They all take place during one of the wars, so,
That's my least favorite time period.
I don't know.
War.
I don't know. I'm a sucker. I don't know. I enjoy them so much. So yeah, I picked this one because it's a similar author. I'm gonna read the synopsis.
Yeah. I haven't heard this,
I haven't
so
really
watch
read
me
this
eat my
either,
words,
to
but I
be
don't think
honest.
so.
Sorry?
I didn't read it either. It's just like same author.
I'm sure it will be good.
Because I was like, I want to read. I don't really reread books ever. Like the only books I can read is Harry Potter. So I was like, okay, I don't want to pick one I've already read. But then it was such a shame because the 2 I read, I've read many, but 2 like The Nightingale and Alice Network, like were so good. Like I would recommend those to someone who's reading a historical fiction for the first time. I haven't read this yet, so I don't know if it's gonna be good or not. But we'll see. That's the fun of it.
It'll be good.
So here we go.
Maybe.
Wry and bookish history student Mila Pavlichenko organizes her life around her library job and her young son, but Hitler's invasion of Russia sends her on a different path. Given a rifle and sent to join the fight, Mila must transform herself from the studious girl to the deadly sniper, a lethal hunter of the Nazis known as Lady Death. When news of her 300th kill makes her a national heroine, Mila is torn from the battlefields of the Eastern Front and sent to America on a goodwill tour. Still reeling from the war's wounds and devastated by the loss, Mila finds herself isolated and lonely in the glittering world of Washington, D.C. until an unexpected friendship with First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt and an even more unexpected connection with a silent fellow sniper offer the possibility of happiness. When an old enemy from Mila's past joins forces with a deadly new foe lurking in the shadows, Lady Death finds herself battling her own demons and enemy bullets in the deadliest duel of her life. Based on a true story, The Diamond Eye is a haunting novel of heroism of a mother who became a soldier and a woman who found her place in the world that changed history forever.
Okay, so my least two favorite genres is historical and then war.
You're in for a treat.
I'm hoping I like it. Like, I don't mind coming back and be like, hey guys, I surprisingly like it. My biggest fear is hating it because that's 418 pages of hate.
We gotta try something new. That's what I'm here today for.
I take it as long as she's a good author, I'm sure it'll be fine. But I do worry. I really do not like history and especially war. There's just something about it. I don't know. It just always makes me too sad to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. Oh, they are sad.
Especially all the killing. I just hate when there's an excess of killing, you know? So, meanwhile, on the other book, what was I saying? I was saying like I was like,
it's
so
called
down
A
for
Girl's
someone.
Guide to Murder.
Yeah. So
But
hopefully it'll be good.
They're really good. I find myself always getting lost in them, and I think I'm just a sucker for like good like character growth, like emotional depth. You know.
That's what we're in for?
Mm-hmm.
Is that bad?
It's my least favorite. It's my least
Emotional
favorite.
depth?
Yeah. Have you read
Character
me?
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, that's next month's book. So get excited. We're deep dive into history, baby.
Do you think she'll be like into Eleanor Roosevelt's husband? What's his name?
Theodore.
Theodore Roosevelt?
Why are you guys calling him Roosevelt?
What's his name?
Roosevelt.
Oh, there's two O's.
Yeah.
Oh.
They were crazy back then.
What's a Roosevelt?
It's Roosevelt. You guys have never heard this? His name? Did you not watch Night at the Museum?
Of course we did.
Not as much as you.
Fact. But yeah, okay, fine, whatever. I'm down to change it up. But you know what? Next time I'm making you read an intense romance novel.
Yeah.
I swear when
Wait,
I was
why?
looking at the thing that this main character was from Ukraine, but then I forgot that it's
but instead it's Russia.
Well,
No,
her
Soviet
last,
Union.
I gotta tell you, her last name is Ukrainian.
I think
I
it
was like,
was. 'Cause I read it. I
That's a
remember
Ukrainian
seeing
last name, not a
Kiev.
Russian last name.
So
it's
but
like-
at the time it was Soviet Union.
But yeah, alright everyone, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and let us know your thoughts on this month's book. And don't miss out on next month's talks.
Heck yeah.
Well, remember,
And with that,
babes out.